Okay, let's start. I have a lot to tell you today, but I just realized this title of this talk is it might sound quite arrogant. It does sound like we solved all the problems ever. That's not true. We didn't, but I'll tell you everything in a minute. First, I have a question for you. How many of you would fly on a plane that was running on your software? Anyone? 1, 2, 3. Anyone else? Is it not funny scary actually, that we ask other people to rely on our software, but we wouldn't risk anything to fly on this plane? So maybe a slightly easier question for you. How many of you would drive an Ocado van that was running on your software? I'm glad to see more hands up. I actually did, so I'm going to tell you all about this. But let's start from some introductions. My name is Anna Miedzianowska. I work at Ocado Technology. If you really want to know how to pronounce my surname, here's an instruction for you. And today with me is Alice. That's Alice. Alice is my colleague. Alice works at Ocado. She's a team manager, and she works with a team, quite a large team of Ocado drivers. So these nice guys who deliver your groceries. By the way, how many Ocado customers do we have here? Excellent. Cool. So just to explain a little bit more, Ocado Technology, where I am, it's technically a different company than Ocado. So Alice and I don't really work in the same place. So you guys who put your hands up are in this big bubble. Alice and people like Alice deal with all your needs, and then I'm head of product at Ocado Technology, and we mostly deal with software problems. So we just make it happen. If you ask me what is good like, if you asked me this question like 2 years ago when I joined Ocado, I would say this is exactly the place, because I was so impressed looking around, looking at about 1,000 people and all work in an agile environment. You could see all the agile teams, small teams, working, doing all the retrospectives, all the sprint demos and everything. It was so great, and the post-it notes were on every single wall. It was fantastic. So if you ask me at that point in time if I would fly on a plane with these guys, definitely I would. So a little bit of context. I started as a product owner. I got 3 teams to work with. 2 of these teams were co-located with me in the UK. 1 team was remote in Ukraine. And we are all focusing on working with Alice. So everything that was related to Ocado drivers. So it's really complicated job, by the way. So everything they had to do, all the information they had to get on the device, this was what we were doing. It took me a while to realize that all this agile stuff, yes, it's great, but actually, if you think about all these bubbles, what we are doing, we're just being very comfortable here in our little yellow bubble technology. Oh yeah, we are doing agile. We are great. We are agile. But we somehow forgot to include the business and tell them, hey, we are agile. We are now working in a different way. We completely forgot that it's all about customers. So in other words, what we are doing, we are focusing so much on this cycle time. So how quick or how much quicker we can develop something, but we completely forgot that actually what really counts is the customer lead time. So it doesn't matter that we delivered something in a week if the customer was waiting for this for 2 years. Still wrong. So the point here is that we need to think globally. We need to go outside our little bubble and involve more people in the conversation. On top of this, there are people. My 3 teams, when I thought about them, I could summarize them in this slide. So I had one of my teams, they were really like a silent team. Even though they had all these daily stand-ups, it seems like they still didn't know what's going on, what other people are working on, and they were just picking random work, and like nobody knew anything. It was pretty annoying. Like they didn't really talk to each other. And then I had the noisy team. That was my favorite. Everyone had an opinion. It was lovely to see them arguing. However, we had about 3 or 4 sprints in a row when they delivered exactly 0 story points. It's not even that they underestimated something. It was 0 story points. They didn't deliver anything for weeks. So that's something wrong there. And then the team in Ukraine, very lovely people. And that was the problem, because they were so lovely, they would never challenge me on anything. Whatever I said, they would just do it. Even though I was completely wrong sometimes, they wouldn't admit that they knew that I was wrong. They would just do it. So, and yet another problem. These people weren't co-located with us. They had never seen the business. So how can you explain to someone who is not very fluent in English the business-specific information if they have never seen this? That was really, really challenging. So across all these teams, we had a lot of assumptions, a lot of picking random work, pretty much no ownership. And I thought, that's not good. That's not good. That will be me. Yeah. I was really worried because the product owner doesn't really deliver the value, right? It's all about other people. So if they don't deliver, I don't deliver, I fail, and I didn't like this image. So I decided to change it. Let me jump to the conclusion first. You can discover more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. Do you know who said that? Yeah, I'm not really clear because the internet is giving me different answers. So for now, let's assume I said that, right? That will do. That will do for now because that's definitely working. So start small, I said. I'll start some quick, fun ideas and see if it has an effect. So I started with my noisy team, and I introduced a Manga Rule. That means, it doesn't mean shut up, right? It does mean that if we have a stand-up, if we have a meeting, and you can see the conversation is going like off topic somewhere else that it should be, anyone in the team can say, Mango, and you wouldn't believe the effect. The stand-ups got shorter, more focused, and the team really, really loved it. They started using this as a verb, saying, oh, can we mango this? And talk about this another time. And Secret Santa that year, someone, I bet from this team, bought 3 packs of dried mangoes for me. So I really think that they liked it. And yeah, it's a quick, fun way to discipline, stay focused, and it does work. Then I thought, okay, these guys, they are software developers. They write code. Nobody ever told them to think product. That's my job. And then they love cakes. So how about we connect these two? So I invented a series of meetings that I called the Great Product Bake-Off. That's a reference, for those who don't know, that's a reference to Great British Bake-Off. People bake cakes and make it happen. It's really challenging. So I thought, let's do the same. Let's see if it works. It cost me a few cakes, but we had a series of very good meetings, just focusing on product. The rule number 1 was to get out of the building. Because if you think about it, software developers writing code in a really cozy office, having like 3 screens, having free coffee and cakes and all this stuff. And then you think about Ocado delivery drivers, having a tiny little device, having a time pressure, having customers calling them, where are you? That's like completely different. So how can you deliver, being a developer, how can you deliver something for this poor Ocado driver and make sure this is exactly what he or she needs? By the way, this is how Japanese people call it, Gemba. It means the real place. Basically, the idea is you go and see yourself what's happening. So this is what we did. Everyone at Ocado can do it. You can spend a day with Ocado driver, real Ocado driver, delivering real groceries to real customers. So you can stay with this person for a day in a van and do their job. So we did, the whole team, all of them did it at the same day. And you wouldn't believe how much the conversation changed the next day. They were like different people. Everyone had a different story to share. Everyone experienced some problems. Everyone looked at their code a completely different way. It was really, really great to observe. Then I thought, that works really well, but we can't really go deliver groceries all the time. We are IT, right? We, stay in the office for a bit. So instead, I started inviting our drivers to the office. And this was an interesting workshop because my team got really confident. Now we know how it works. So I asked them, could you guys explain to Sean, who is a really experienced driver, could you explain his job? Imagine Sean just joined, doesn't know anything. Could you explain his job? It was really interesting. Within 5 minutes, Sean just couldn't stop himself. He was like, not really, it's not really how it works. So sometimes the reversal of roles is a good exercise to check how much you actually know. That worked well, so we started doing more things, inviting even more people. Here's a workshop with Alice type person. She's here, by the way. And here we went a little bit silly. We started the workshop from generating a lot of bad ideas. Why would you do it? If I ask you now, give me some good ideas, I get silent, right? But if I ask you about some bad ideas, it's so easy to remember a bad experience with something. This was about some dashboards, right? So all you have to do here, when you generate a lot of bad ideas really quickly, then you just need to revert them to good ideas. Easy. The point is, you start the workshop as soon as people arrive, because nobody is too shy to say something that it's good, but they don't think it's good, maybe it's not good enough. You just get everyone going really quickly. And then I thought, there must be something more we could do, maybe even cheaper, something that doesn't require so much planning and getting everyone around, making sure everyone can make it. Maybe there is something we can do to learn more about our users. So I pretty much started chasing the poor drivers because they deliver groceries to our office every day. Every day we get like 5 of them coming pretty much the same time. And I know they don't have time to stay and be interviewed by me, but I can ask them just a quick question, right? Everyone, nobody said no to me. I was just asking, can I ask you a quick question? Everyone said yes. And then, so I thought, how much I can learn from one quick question. So I thought, if I ask the same quick question to every driver I meet for a week, I might get some answers. And so every week I was getting around 15, 20 answers to the same quick question. And it was amazing. I learned so much, really free research, but it was so great. Really recommend to look for some opportunities of like a quick question. So at some point we learned enough about our users to create our user personas. Is anyone using user personas, customer personas here? Great, great, great. So we discovered we have a group of guys who we called Look Fast. Look Fast is usually a younger driver who knows what to do. He's very efficient, he's techy, he knows better than the system does. But all he really wants to do is to do this job as quick as possible and go home. Then we have this lovely group of these Robert Happies. Robots might be slower, they might be less technical, but they know that without the customers, we don't have this job. So they will really invest their energy into being really good giving good customer service. With them, you must be really careful with them if you decide to change the software. They spend a lot of time and energy to learn what's on the software. So if you want to change something, you really need to think about these guys. Luke will get it, but with Robert, you have to be careful. And Alberts were actually a surprise to us. We didn't discover them for a while, because we were only talking to people who were with us. But Alberts are the guys who joined the company, went through like 5 weeks of trainings, so we invested heavily in them, and then as soon as they went on road themselves, they thought, oh, it's too complicated, I can't do it, too much, and they leave. So we didn't even have a chance to meet them. And you might say, oh, maybe that's not a massive group of people, but actually, this is the most costly group of people. Costly. So yeah, this was a good summary of what we learned. But now, those people who do user personas, what usually happens? Do you have the same experience? What usually happens when you start with user personas? You get them going, and then what? They die. Sometimes, it's not always the case, but I did see it happening. They die because usually the setup is you have a UX researcher or UX something person, or this person who does the research. This person comes to you with, oh, these are our customer personas. It's sent by email, maybe it's even printed, and that's it. And now think of developers. They write code. Now someone comes to them, gives them this profile of a fictional person with a picture on it, and asks to believe in it. It just doesn't make sense. They just won't use it. So my point is that you do need to include your team. I know they are developers and they write code, but you need to involve them in the user research if you want them to believe in it. And this is when Alice started at Ocado in our IT office. I really didn't want developers to forget about personas, about the customers. So this is when she appeared, and I started bringing her to every single meeting. All the sprint planning, especially sprint demos, they are her favorite. Because, yeah, because you see these developers being really proud, saying, oh, we fixed this, and we upgraded this library, and we, really cool things, needed things. But I pointed at Alice, and what exactly she got from that? So this shifted. I looked a bit weird carrying her around, I know, but I think it was definitely worth it. Everyone in the office knows who Alice is, and it triggered so many good conversations. Sometimes you have to go a little bit silly, but it's worth it. Changing the subject a bit, I was talking to different members of my team about what exactly we are doing. And some of them, actually all of them, gave me completely different answers one day. I know we are a good team, we kind of know what we are doing, we know the users, but if we don't agree about what we actually should do, maybe we are going different directions, maybe it's not the best way. So we used our great product bake-off session, and you wouldn't believe how much it took to write this sentence all together. 3 hours, I think. But yeah, I was just facilitating, even though as a product owner you are responsible for the vision. I stepped back, I said, okay guys, what we do? Took us 3 hours, we got here, but in the end, everyone was happy to sign it. Once they signed it, they were proud of it, that it was theirs. They put it on the wall, and they were looking at this every single day. Anyone tried waste snake before? So I was still worried about my silent team, because I could see that the fact they don't communicate, it's costing them in various ways. So I could tell them, but they wouldn't listen. So I thought, how about I just show it? So we did this experiment, and for 2 weeks, I asked every single person in the team to write on a post-it note how they wasted their time. And we had to be really clear. It's not a blaming game. I don't want to chase them and say, oh, don't waste this time anymore. We had to agree to the definition. So waste was everything other than delivering the actual value. So every meeting, everything, it's a waste. So don't worry about this for now. Just put it on the snake. This is what happened after 2 weeks. Sadly, not everyone wanted to participate, so the actual snake, the real snake, would be much fatter. So after 2 weeks, we got together and I asked them, how much time do you think there is on the snake? And the best guess was around half of the time. But let's not focus on numbers here. The discovery here was we had one guy who was really quiet, obviously silent team, right? He was quiet, but he seemed pretty focused and happy and everything. But the snake showed that this guy spent half of the sprint helping his old team, his other team, because they had some problems. He didn't say a word. So now coming back to the sprint planning, we thought we had this person. We only had half of this person. So sometimes it's good to show whatever way, silly way or maybe more serious way, but it's good to show the ways. We don't have 2 week sprint. We have much less than that. And that's a very good exercise, which I tried with my silent team. I call it communication exercise. I'm not really sure if this is the right name. There's probably a different name for that. This is a very good exercise to do at a retrospective. I'll explain how it works and then we'll talk about benefits. And if we had more time, I wish I could do it here, but I only got 45 minutes. So, you have your team, ideally 6 people. You divide them to 3 smaller groups. This group is staring at a picture, like childlike drawing that works well. They can draw it themselves if they want. Then you put these guys somewhere completely in a different room. They can't see this picture. And then you have this group of runners. Their task is to ask these guys what's on the picture. They can't see the picture. They can only ask questions. These guys can explain what's on the picture. So there's some kind of communication going here. And then these guys go to the other room and explain what they heard. And these guys can ask questions. Sounds pretty simple. But what's happening at my silent team doing the stuff. This is how they did. You might say it's pretty good, but this was the second picture they drew. The dog or a cat, I'm not really sure. It's definitely a different animal on that picture. So what you can observe here, quite a few things. Developers, they love writing code. As soon as they give them a piece of paper and a pen, they start drawing. They just want to start drawing. But in this case, you can't draw a house if you don't know how big the house is, where it is on the picture. You need to know the bigger context before you actually start doing the work. It's like the analysis or discovery. It's like, but with developers, they are quickly like, okay, tell me, where is it? That's one thing. The other thing I noticed that everyone does, I did this exercise so many times, and everyone makes the same mistakes. The runners, they think, oh, let's be efficient. Instead of going in as a pair between the rooms, let's split up. So they do. So every runner asks different questions, but they forget to synchronize. So at some point, they ask the same question. And another mistake everyone makes is the time. I'm telling them, you have half an hour to do it. Nobody's checking the time. Nobody. It's like time doesn't exist. It's like some kind of flow doesn't exist. So it is pretty much like how we work. Our stakeholders have something in mind. They tell us, oh, do this. We have something else in mind, but we think this is what they meant. Nobody is checking the time. We think we are efficient because we split some tasks, but actually, this is a really, really good exercise and great fun. Really recommend it. I did it so many times. One team, I didn't have pencils, so they got some colored crayons. And instead of asking questions like, how big is the house, they were asking, what color is the house? They started from the least important information. It was really, really interesting. Okay, this was my team about a year later. All happy to go to a warehouse, all developers happy to go speak to the drivers, do some real job. And if you ask me at this point if I fly a plane with these guys, definitely yes. I was really proud of them. But as soon as this photo was taken, I was asked to stop working with them and work at Ocado as a head of product, so work with many other teams. Can't really say no to that, but it took me a while to understand how different teams operate. I'm working with about 20 different teams in 4 different countries, just to make it easier. So yeah, it took me a while to understand what they do, and I discovered that they all have great ideas. They have their ways to solve problems, and they are excellent. But if you ask them to work together, it's like there is some invisible wall between them. It's like everyone was saying, oh, I'm building a wall, but nobody was saying, oh, we are building a castle, and this is my wall. So, again, I'm trying to change it, but part of me thinks, actually, focus is good, right? We need to focus. But I have a video to show you about focus. Let's pray it works.
The monkey business illusion.
Even if you watched that before, watch it again.
Count how many times the player is wearing white past the ball. Answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla?
Did you?
For people who haven't seen or heard about a video like this before, about half is the gorilla. If you knew about the gorilla, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color for the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. Looking for a gorilla, you often miss other unexpected events.
Yeah, so that's the point about focusing. Focus is good, but if you are too focused, you might be missing some things. Right, let's come back to the slides. So I was thinking, okay, they focus. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's okay that they are so isolated, and maybe they don't need to work together. So I did this experiment. I put the names of the teams on the wall in this card, and it was on the way to the kitchen, by the way, so everyone had to pass to get their coffee. And I was standing there with a piece of string, asking everyone who passed me a quick question. What team are you working with, and how systems of your team connect to other teams? Surprisingly, a lot of people didn't know. then we discovered that actually there are a lot of connections. And all this is saying now is that it's complicated. And we probably need a better way to visualize that. But that makes me think we do need to work together. Ocado is a massive platform. It's not a bunch of isolated systems. They can't exist without each other. And this is my cheesy vision for how we could work together. Because if you think of a football game, nobody asks at the end of the game what the score was. You can see it all the time. At every second, you can tell what other people are doing. You have the same goal, and you have this visibility all the time. What's happening, it's more like this. We have all these teams. They all have their own goals. Nobody really knows what's happening overall and what the score is. So we are not there yet, but I truly believe we can get there. We tried. I don't have the answer how to do it, how to make it work, right? But I'm trying. I'm trying and I'm learning as I go. The very first exercise I tried that worked was a series of icebreakers. When we asked every single team to present, just a very quick 20 minutes presentation, forget all the details, just tell the other people who you are. So what's your name, which country you are, and what is it exactly what you're doing, what does the web shop mean? What does delivery systems really mean? Like, what is it? The basic answers. And that helps the conversation a lot. The other thing is I'm a little bit crazy about showing everything, visualizing everything. So this is everything that happens at Ocado. We call it a portfolio wall. Not sure if this is really a portfolio or not, it doesn't matter. The thing is, we meet all the product owners across the company, meet every week for less than 1 hour. And they put a card on the wall. I don't want to say it's a project, because Alan will not be happy. It's not a project, it's a piece of work. Yeah, it's a piece of work that in the end will deliver some value. And this is really helping us so much. People think, it's just interrogation, I just need to tell what we are working on. But actually, it's a fantastic platform for all the people across the whole company to meet and talk. My definition of success here is how many people stay after this meeting and discuss something just because they have the space for it. It works. Postmortems. That's something that is really, really important because production incidents happen and will happen. We can't completely not have them. So what happens when a plane crashes? People die. But also what happened, that's not funny, that's sad, people die. But then there's an important thing that happens after. There's an investigation. And we think, why this happened and what can we do to prevent that in the future? So this is the same we do at Ocado. Any incident leads to a post-mortem, and this is the most important thing we do. So if you have something else on your plate, drop it and do a post-mortem. But why do you need to wait for a crisis to happen to do a post-mortem? This exercise I did with one of my teams. So they were building a brand new, shiny product, really confident. This is the newest technology. It's going to be really cool, really great. So I asked them, actually, but what could possibly go wrong? Just imagine we moved to the deadline, it's a year later. What could possibly go wrong? And they were so confident, I didn't expect much answers from them, but I had to double the size of this box. This was the initial size. I had to double because they got really creative. And once you do it, it kind of changes the way you think. The unplanned things, they do become more visible. And you are a little bit less optimistic, which is good in this case. So, coming to back to the question, what is good like, or actually what is good like tomorrow, I'm afraid I can't answer this question because I don't know, but all I know is that it's going to be different than today. What is good today? It's going to be different. And the only way forward is to keep learning. So great keynote speech today. It's all about learning, and then it's all about sharing. Talking about sharing, there are some good books here. If you read, is anyone here who read all of them? They are really, really good. I have more if you want. Talk to me later. Ten seconds for pictures, and yeah, that's it from me. I hope I inspired you today. I hope I gave you some good ideas. Thank you very much.